I'm Sir Flobogen Thunderhammer.
And I'm Teflon Frosthammer.
And I'm Cabbage Tidehammer.
And this
is
WAK.
If Amtgard knighthood means anything, you can't knife a motherfucker and keep it.
And the thing that people need to understand essentially about arts and sciences events is that your scores don't matter.
Do you want a black phoenix or a white phoenix?
Jeez, language, man. We're on
right.
a freaking podcast, for fuck's sake.
Mind-blowing experience, right?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to WAK, where we discuss topics important to the Amtgard community at large and talk with interesting people from around the foam fighting world. This week, we have on Sir Regan, Emerald, Temperance, Sapphire, World Songmender, Prisoner of Azkaban, Saphira, Michael, Abaddon the Despoiler, El Triabol, Ex Gravel, Machiavelliano Lord, Inquisitor, Esquire, Son of Mortis, not even gonna try, self-proclaimed national treasure of Neverwinter, Neverwinter Head Inquisitor, leader of the Neonist Army of Neverwinter. Yeah, I think
Sir Regan. That's in there somewhere, but we got to get that at the end too, so people know.
Yeah,
man, y'all butchered it less than the previous Monarch Bolt did.
Oh man,
the Rap God soundtrack helps. Gives him a rhythm. Yeah.
So, how you doing, man?
Doing all right. Can't really complain too much. You know, I
Excellent.
complain often enough.
We heard just before we started you got shot too, right?
Oh yeah. Oof.
Hey, listen,
Yep,
it beats the alternative, right?
Yep, you just 70, 80 degrees in a hot car, and they just stab you, and you just go on your way.
Jeez.
That's called Florida. So, we are doing our Flame Belt Month. Thank you for coming on. The point here is to really focus in on people that have given back to their kingdoms and given back to the game of Amtgard as a whole. There are many different ways that people do this. I think that the belt kind of got a bad rap for a long time as the wood chopping belt or the dishes belt or something like that.
Picking up trash.
And it was said as with this sneering or almost negative connotation. Like, it was said in such a way that it was meant to be easy to make fun of, right? But without those people, the events don't happen.
I mean, Amtgard as a whole doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like the indentured servants. You know, get back to work.
Oh no,
God.
And the belt's a whole lot more than that too. It represents more than just those things. It's kind of one of those bigger than the sum of its parts. We wanted to talk to you about some of the things that you did as you were coming up through. You've been in the game for a long time.
Oh, you missed the first question, Flo.
We have a first question?
How did you get into Amtgard?
Yeah, I'm rolling into it.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I got distracted. I've never looked so red on camera.
Go with the flow.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyway, you asked the question.
We wanted to get into some of the things that you have done. You've been in Amtgard for a very long time, I know. But before we do that, how did you get started?
So this was, I don't know why I can remember dates so well, but this was around December 13th, that weekend of 2008. I was sitting around with a couple of my friends, and they were like, hey, there's a bunch of people who go out and they hit people with sticks. And your first instinct is like, okay, this is Florida. These people are crazy. I don't think I want to go out there, getting smacked with, sticks off of trees, especially palm trees. Like, oof.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, okay, I have nothing else better to do. I'm 18 years old, just a new adult going into the world. So I go out there, and first thing I see is these guys in karate gis, and I'm like, oh no, what did I get myself into? Well, they threw this rule book at me, and this was, I believe, 6.9. It was one of the version 6s before V7. And they said, read this, then come out, and we're going to smack each other. And I was like, where do I start? You handed me a book, So I talked to my friend. I'm like, are you sure this is a good idea? these weirdos just tossed me a book that they look like, they're about to do some occult ritual in their karate gis or something. And,
Of course, it's a good idea. Look how many rules they have.
It's very organized.
So eventually, I went out with my friend, and after a couple of weeks, I was like, you know what? This is not some kind of occult sorcery thing at all. We're just hitting each other with sticks, and I guess I can get into it.
The ritual worked.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We had a bunch of, lack of better term, weeaboos. They had the karate katana type swords and everything else. And I couldn't really get into it too much with that aspect. But, the moment that I read into the book and noticed that, oh, there's magic, I'm like, I'm going to do something different. And that's kind of where I ended up. And here I am years later.
I'm actually reading over your your Amped wiki, and I've never had to scroll so much on an Amped wiki before. First off, I'd like to thank you for filling your Amped wiki out, or at least convincing other people to do it.
Yeah, no, also you have a list of characters you've played, and we're going to go through some of these as we get into it.
So fun fact, I actually have over 20 Persona characters, and the stories that I actually have hashed out that have more detail were the ones that were put into my Amp wiki.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, wow. So did you before Amtgard, did you have a big role-playing background like D&D, or did you just go in?
I had no D&D experience.
Wow. That's awesome.
Even to this day, you have
Magic the Gathering was my only go-to around that point. That was my nerd hobby.
Did you read any of the books too, or were you just only the card flopper?
There's magic books?
I was a lore person too, as far as Magic the Gathering books are concerned. The Mirrodin Saga.
Yeah.
Back in that set, and everything. I was like, that intrigued me the most when I would read it and stuff like that. But, a couple of friends tried to get me into Warhammer 40K, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a broke new adult.
Resist that temptation. Resist it with all of your might. You must.
As a recovering plastic cracked addict, resist any miniatures game.
Mm-hmm.
You will spend a fortune on them.
I eventually recovered past Warhammer 40K for a bit, but I follow along sometimes, rentals,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love the story for it. I love the story for a lot of that stuff, but it's just so expensive.
I love the story depending on who's writing it. That's
well, I mean, 40K is pretty tight about.
Graham McNeil is fine. The rest of them
are okay. Yeah.
But I can hear my bank account screaming in the distance as we talk.
Yeah, my bank texted me and said, "Hey, what are you doing right now? You up?" All right. So, Flame Knight. At what point did you realize that was something that first off was achievable and something that maybe you even wanted to do? Like, at what point in your Amtgard career did that really come up?
Okay, when I first started the game, I was a very immature human being. I would go out in the Florida heat without my shirt, and I didn't think about things like responsibility. It took me about 5 years for me to go, maybe I should help out because people are doing it for me. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should try and give it back. And what ended up happening is my knight Sir Tree was like, delinquent, here you go, because I was like, no one would belt me back then because I was just the anorexic looking kid without the shirt on, and they're like, who wants that?
Yeah.
Until you run into Sir Tree, who's like, you know what, I'm crazy enough, boom. And it was that point where I was like, you know what, I want to make this person proud. And that's when I kind of progressed into doing things from the bottom up.
What did it start with? What were you doing when you said, yeah, I want to give back to the game in some way?
I was kind of in a place to where I was kind of only hunting for paragons because that's what only seemed interesting to me. And it got to the point to where people would complain. They'd be like, there's never enough people to help out for this. This is a mess. This person couldn't make it. And it got to the point to where I can't really have fun if there's nobody to make the fun happen. Yeah. And I said, you know what? I think it's time, whatever. And then I dove in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, quick tangent here. Did you ever get a Paragon? Was that ever something you ended up seeing fleshed out?
I have two, unless you count the third, technically Paragons. I got my Bard one years ago, back when Culevra was a little bit younger, if you know Saint Culevra. And after he stabbed me really hard in the junk was when he really noticed that I earned my Paragon Bard. And I still have nightmares about it, but you know. But I really got out there and, you know, flashy get up and everything when I was hunting for it. And ironically enough, my partner, Dame Covina, who I live with here, was the one who handed me my Paragon Bard.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing.
Now, was it actually a Paragon, or did you get it back when it was still Masterhoods?
I got it back when it was Master in V7.
Oh, yeah. Old school. Now you can trade that in for more money.
Yeah. It's vintage now.
Yeah. But yeah, I always thought Paragons were very interesting to me, and that's kind of what I always shot for until I kind of decided I could juggle a couple of things at once.
Yeah, totally fair. And now you've got two, so you can say you've got a pair of Paragon.
Yeah. If you count Walker in the middle as one, I guess 3, but
it's more fun to say pair of Paragon.
It sounds like the lyrics to a bad 80s song or a good 80s song.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not going to Google that right now. We'll check it out later.
Yeah, oh, no.
Paragon.
Nope. If that's a song, we're getting copyright stricken, isn't it?
Yeah,
Right.
now that sounds like an anime opening right there.
Yeah,
It does,
true.
yeah.
I can't sing for shit, so like crossing genres and everything.
Yeah.
So when you started helping out, and I imagine it was small things to begin with. You know, someone saying, "I need some help." In the kitchen, I need some help with this quest. I need some help with whatever. But what were some things that you noticed that events kind of lacked? Maybe that's the best way to put it. Like places in events where if someone like you had this epiphany that says, events aren't here if there aren't people to help, and I want to help. Where are some good places for newer players to kind of slot in there?
Okay. One of your biggest things that you can always do that right off the top of my head is there's always trash. Take the time, walk around, pick up the trash. Nobody wants to take the trash out. I barely take the trash out in my own home, let alone. But there's always trash everywhere because we're all dirty people that just toss our things, aside sometimes. And that's usually always a great start to find is the trash. The other thing is nobody likes to do cleanup, sweeping, mopping, those dirty push motion, brooms and stuff. Nobody wants that. Like it hurts after a while, especially if you got scrawny arms like mine. After a while, it's just like, this hurts. And nobody wants to do that, but it's always readily available. Whether it's cleaning cabins or cleaning the kitchen, that usually comes into the kitchen as well. There's always going to be somebody who needs somebody to do the dishes. Nobody wants to do the dishes. We barely do it at home. Yeah. So I speak for myself anyways. I definitely don't. But there's always opportunities for service out there, even from the littlest things to the big things. Trash, kitchen, sweeping, and even things that you wouldn't expect, like, taking down, pop-up tents, helping your neighbor put stuff up, whether it doesn't even have to be event organizers that you help or crafts that you help, just helping your fellow, Amtgarder, trying to set up or put down, because it's always one of the toughest things to do is to watch people struggle to put their tents up in wind.
Yeah, yes. Absolutely. What would you say is, so this is something that I just kind of got curious about. What is the craziest or most out there thing you've done to earn a rose or a, I guess flame, depending on when you got your title? What is the craziest thing you've done that is technically service related?
Oh, geez, let me think on that.
Because I know right now you're the chief of police for Neverwinter in their theme grain. And we'll get into that more in
theme drain. You mean he's really not the chief of police?
Oh shit, kayfabe, damn it! I forgot about wrestling. We'll get into it, but stuff like that is really cool. But is there anything that tops that, or anything crazier that you've done?
I have helped a couple of monarchs set up the reigns. I did help as far as workshops for that as well. Usually that gets a lot of hectic because people need help when they're creating their reigns and stuff. And when you come up with the most harebrained ideas for the reign to help people have fun, and that has been really one of the most fun things and crazy things for me to do. As you can see, police hat for this reign. I'm literally doing videos on a phone digital, movie maker thing. And they're not the best. They're definitely
but they're fun though.
They're hilarious.
Oh yeah, they're like D quality, but those as far as Smiths and stuff are concerned, that's kind of been more fun. As far as Flame, I love running battle games and stuff as well. As far as buying my time and cooking too, or Tavern. Tavern is always fun because you create all these fun activities, kind of frat party games like Flip the Cup without the booze.
Yeah.
Those fun games, and stuff like that. And those obviously get competitive and crazy. And those usually are where the crazy fun stuff for me is, because I'll dive right into that crazy stuff because the rest of it just feels boring to me sometimes.
No, I totally get that. Now, with Neverwinter, you mentioned Tavern. Is yours a kind of Kingdom sponsored tavern, or is it like a player-created tavern?
We have a Kingdom-sponsored tavern. We basically get revenue in, we get a budget, and we give back. And usually, it's always been profitable.
Oh, that's
all
cool.
the time. We sell side food and stuff and snacks. I would never be able to live an event without the fries, the donut holes, and the hot dogs at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. on Saturday nights.
And we're running the wrong events in Winter's Edge.
Well, this was an idea I had for when Winter's Edge starts doing events again. This is a staple of Bonnaroo, but like the 2 a.m. grilled cheese that you can buy for like $2. Like, I want to do something like that.
Oh man, we could do it with Sir Duffer's bacon. It could be bacon and grilled cheese.
I mean,
Sure.
yes, I agree, but we're not going to sell any of Duffer's bacon because he won't let us, likely.
He won't. But I mean, the idea is just there. I
like the idea of a tavern in general, just a place where you can go and be like, dude, I'm hungry. Like,
oh yeah,
are there other people still awake? Let's go to the tavern and find out.
It's kind of like the water at your bedside table. It tastes the best at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning.
It's so true.
Well, and the Neverwinter Tavern is one of the places that I've loved to go and hang out while I was down there too. There was a couple of events that I went to at what's the site that has the big baseball field, Regan?
The site with the big baseball field. I know what you're talking about, but my mind's escaped me because we haven't been there in so long.
So that site, there was a place that they would like rope off that if you stepped over the line, you were in character, and it was a full tavern. Like, they had food, they had drinks. I know that they had non-alcoholic drinks. I can't remember whether they had alcoholic drinks at that one or not. I don't think so.
No,
but
we haven't done alcoholic stuff in a long time.
It just seems safer that way, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was so fun to go there and hang out, and if you wanted to like step out, you could anytime. I had a whole lot of fun there. I had a lot of fun at the tavern that Simi used to run up in Winter's Edge, which I think on the last episode I tried to remember what the name was, and I can't and still didn't ask.
I don't remember either.
We'll
Simi,
go with
if you listen, just comment down below.
Yeah, let us know what the name is. But stuff like that is one of those things that I don't think people understand or appreciate what goes into making it work. You can't just bring a couple of drinks and rope off an area and say, well, okay, this is going to be the
RP Tavern.
The RP Tavern. Yeah. You're organizing food. You're basically doing a whole meal prep. Even if it's microwaved, you're doing kind of a meal prep thing to have all of that stuff ready for the bar, plus games, plus very likely, in your case, Regan, coming up with some kind of small storyline for something that's going to be going on at the tavern or something like that.
That, and you have budgeting, of course, because you have to plan out what you're buying, how much money you have, and everything else. It's a whole system of whole system going.
Just tavern games in general also seems like a cool thing to have. Like, if I sat down at a tavern and they had that stupid peg game they have at Cracker Barrel, I would be thrilled.
I mean, again, like this throws back to one of my things I want to do is having some of those board games, like the ancient board games and stuff like that, available to be able to do things like that. So maybe running the tavern as WAK is something we can
WAK
do.
Tavern! WAK Tavern!
So this is a tangent. Didn't we move that chair?
We did. I don't know why it's back in frame.
Yeah, look at it's seriously.
Oh,
we
no.
moved-
This is a problem we have. Zoom has a
it's the
wider
wider
field
angle.
of view.
Oh, that's right.
I don't
okay.
know why it does that. Sorry, there's going to be a chair in the frame for this video, and I'm not going to crop it.
It's a guest star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chair.
Oh, you gotta get Lauren to draw the head for the chair too. With
Yeah,
Regan.
yeah, totally. We'll get the chair in the yeah, absolutely. No, I like the idea of taverns, and that is another service avenue that I hadn't thought of, because a lot of people, they get bummed when they can't get on the kitchen staff at certain events, right? They're like, oh, I wanted to be in the kitchen, and they already had their crew set up or whatever, but like, who's stopping you from starting a tavern, really?
Who's stopping you from having a snack section? I'm sure if you went to whoever the Feastocrat is and said, hey, so some households, some fighting companies, I pretended like fighting companies still existed. some groups of people have already volunteered to do all of the stuff, or the autocrat appointed certain people to do all of the meals already, but me and a couple of my buddies would still like to do something. When's a good time that we could host a snack or something like that? There'll be something that you can do.
I cannot, as a sitting monarch, imagine somebody going, hey, we want to do something for your event. Me going, well, I don't know. Go. You didn't have to ask. You could have just...
Yeah, just do it. Like, I've always been that opinion of just do it. If you have a cool idea, just go and do it.
Yeah. There's always avenues for service, even outside of just the basic cratting and volunteering to help the crats. There's always something.
You can make your own.
A couple of ideas that I've actually thrown out here is we had tavern. And what I like to do is I like to try to take things a step forward and up, for things that, are lacking. We actually have what we call a guild hall for our kingdom. And usually it either coincides with tavern or we put it on the side for non-combats to enjoy a story, do tasks, things like a scavenger hunt. I made a Plinko board that you can slide, the Plinkos down.
That's awesome.
And, when you can work together, you can combine crats, things like that, and, hold storyline, have people go hunt down people for information. And there's all sorts of avenues like that as well that you can just pop out and go, hey, we want to do this. It's fun. It's not getting in the way of anyone else, so we're going to do it.
Yeah, so you brought up a really good point, and it's something that I struggle with because I can't relate very well personally to it with the non-combatants and the people who are there who are kind of enjoying the atmosphere and still want something to do, because I'm focused on trying to play the battle games, getting the tournaments or whatever, right?
Nerd.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible. But can you go into a little bit more detail on what you guys have done with your tavern and things like in your guild hall to kind of accommodate these players? Because I really do think it's an ignored part of the game that we should expand on.
Well, also the RP only zones. I love that idea.
Yeah. So what we kind of did is me and a couple of people at my park had an idea. We're like, okay, the non-combats are getting shoved away. They have nothing to do besides volunteer. They have nothing else to do besides sit and maybe play a board game that they will probably get bored with after an hour of playing the same Cards Against Humanity for an hour and a half. And we were like, okay, we need something for people to do. And what we did is we put it into tavern with our roleplay hall. We said, anyone who wants to fill in roles based on a story that we came up with, random story, didn't even have to make sense with the theme. And we said, okay, this is your role. These are your lines. These people might come up at this point. Otherwise, just, improv. And it got to the point to where when we first did it, we had group, teams working together so they could have interaction with each other. And what ended up happening is once you got your first person to know what's going on, then the next group came, and then the next group came, and the next group came. And then you had fighters who don't even like the roleplay stuff would pop in, even for like a minute or two, do some dialogue, play on the Plinko board, and they'd leave. Otherwise, we actually incorporated some non-combat stuff into the games as well. We had a summer event with, it's hot, so we had water balloons. We had squirt guns. And what people could do was the non-combat is if people really wanted to cool off, after they died, they can run under the hose. Just a non-combat with a hose, or a water balloon, just tossing at them, or, kind of a cheering audience for different, cheering audience section for different fights and stuff in case people wanted to get, a little closer.
People stumbling out of the tavern. Where the hose at?
So we kind of incorporated it into the games as well. It's a lot more fun when you have your non-combat players who want to role play being game objectives.
Yep.
And it's especially great where you'll tell them, you need to rescue the princess who's been captured, and the princess is just, some big guy, going, "Hey, what's up?" In the corner.
It's me, princess. How you doing?
And you can add flair to your games like that. The princess, every couple of feet has to wipe off her feet because she doesn't like dirt on her shoes.
Hold on. I gotta do a thing real quick.
No, you gotta do a thing. I'm a princess. What is the things that you're locked up with your arms and head in it, and they would throw like vegetables?
Stocks.
Yeah, stocks.
Stocks.
Having a stockade where you can throw water balloons at people to end their death timer or something like that could be really funny.
I don't want to get clocked in the face with a water balloon. I've seen how you guys throw.
Yeah, sometimes those balloons don't just pop. They just sort of stay together.
Listen, just because one ice balloon's in there doesn't mean that the rest of them are going to be a problem, right?
We promise the WAK Tavern won't have ice balloons.
It's like the clowns at the circus, come on, you couldn't hit a broadside of a barn.
Yeah, dunk take.
Well, I mean, too, you said something right at the very start there that I think is really important in general for roleplay, and that is roleplay is always an improv, right? The first rule of improv is always say yes, right? So if you are roleplaying a character, whether it's in Amtgard or D&D, you got to say yes. You got to buy into the scenario, and I think a tavern's a really cool way to make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's all sorts of opportunities for non-combats out there. It just takes a little legwork, a little, writing and some imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is something, too, that I don't think our kingdom has really adopted fully, was when you said that you can, people that have come to just enjoy the atmosphere or whatever, but that may be interested in doing some actual LARPing, to involve them in the quests. Quests have become a much bigger part of Winter's Edge in the past probably year and a half to 2 years.
I'd say 3 to 5, actually.
Yeah, 3 to 5, okay.
Counting for COVID, you got to give that a free year.
Yeah, right.
Okay, we get one free parking space there. Have become a much bigger part of the kingdom, and they have been getting better and better. They've been evolving. A lot of them, though, the objectives are still very combat-based. The things going on are still very combat-based, and that's okay. This had never occurred to me before, Regan. You mentioned including non-coms in the quest, and it occurred to me. I know that you said that you at least at one point hadn't done much D&D. I don't know if you have done D&D now.
Oh yeah, definitely now.
A lot of young D&D groups will do this thing where it's just dungeon crawls over and over and over again. It's a Monster of the Week episode style dungeon crawl almost. And as you roleplay longer and longer, you begin incorporating more elements that add in choices you're having to make and things that the characters are doing that aren't just bashing the orc over the head with a big mace.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Amtgard follows a similar sort of tack. And it had just never occurred to me before that, the next logical progression for where we're at that would kind of up our battle games to another level is to grab some of these people and have them put on, a headband or something to very clearly mark that they're out of play. They're not to be touched by any weapons or anything like that. And then they're fulfilling some role in the battle game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. You can even take it further than that. I do night quests where we have 5 rooms. We have a group of adventurers up to 5 to go through.
So not quests for just nights.
Yeah. No, the last Crystalline Chronicles I went to, I think
Marauders Mop.
Not Crystalline Chronicles. Symposium. Sorry, that was 2 symposiums ago for me.
Yeah.
We had our first group full of all non-combat players. And we had them do side scenarios, and we're able to go through all 5 while doing fun activities that didn't involve fighting.
Oh, that's awesome.
Is this where you had them mopping the floor?
Yes, that was the second group.
Yeah, I was gonna say they technically were a combat group that I'm so mad because I was really tired, and I had originally told Regan I'd help out, and then I'm like, man, I'm really tired, I can't do it. After all, I'm super sorry. And then I rested, and then I don't remember who it was, maybe Geralda or someone, or Faust came by and was like, hey, you want to be on our team? And I was like, man, I'm tired. I already told Regan that I wasn't going to go into the quest because I'm tired. And it is the largest regret that I think I have in my Amtgard career. Because the Marauders mop videos, they come up every year so far, and I've watched them every single time they come up on the memories. They're so good. I'm so mad I missed that.
So our first group that went through did, several tasks, and we had them do choices. And what ended up at the end was the Dark Lord is coming back. And there was this little girl, and every time it gets me, there's this little girl who, naive, was like, pretty lady, who was the Dark Lady. And she was like, do you want to help me? And the little girl's like, yeah, I can help you. Brought the ultimate destruction of Winter's Edge within 2 seconds. This little girl going, yeah, sure, I'll help you, Dark Lady.
As the prophecies foretold.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
And it's moments like those that you can do with non-combats. You can get them involved in entire scenarios that don't involve combat at all.
Yeah. So, did you guys have like an alternative way for combat, such as like True Dungeon has the little shuffleboard slider type things or something like that? Did you have anything in mind, or did you just make them make choices?
You have several options that you can do when you do quests. For that specific scenario, the fighters kind of had, their choice of get through the room or not, or do what the room master tells you or not kind of scenario. But when you get into non-combats, you obviously run into different options at that point. Usually we generate backup plans because sometimes it never goes right.
Sure.
And usually you'll have like 3 or 4 backup plans, As far as props are concerned, I've done a couple of things that involve chance. Like I've used the Plinko board before to where, it was all a game of luck. You either died, you died or you lived based on where the Plinko board,
It's a Gary Gygax dungeon.
So I've had a couple of props like that you would do it. I've also involved puzzles, like little puzzle boards, like for like 5-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't be surprised how bad these people can't figure out a children's puzzle. When you have like a 10th Order of the Warrior guy coming at you with 2 swords.
So you had them basically charge, and they had to do the little puzzle before they got there, and once they got there, they were quote unquote dead. Yeah.
Yeah, you had to figure out the puzzle while you had this big thing chasing you.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
So it turned into one of those. Okay, this half of my team needs to distract this monster while we figure out the puzzle. And what ends up happening is, you have people who won't like try to be the hero, who will like jump in and die within like 3 seconds because the big monster is going to one-shot you probably.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the other half who are like, this is like a 5-year-old's puzzle. I should be able to figure this out. What color is the sky? It says right here the sky is blue, but I'm going to say it's purple. Because they're under pressure. Yeah. It's kind of like D&D with it too. You're under, it's less, physical, adrenaline, but it's still that, time factor and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this kind of plays into something I've been wanting to, just reading your Amped Wiki, making me want to bring it up. And so you've done a lot of really cool roles. The tavern thing kind of bleeds into it. I'm going to go through kind of a lightning round of the characters you have played.
Okay.
Give me a like elevator pitch of what this character is, okay?
Yeah.
So there's Mulissa the Minotaur.
Oh, Neverwinter's World Wrestling Tag Team Champion Minotaur.
God, I love that so much. It hurts.
Basically, back when Sir Shalazar was monarch a long time ago, they had a reign for Greek. So you had like Kronos, Hades, and stuff, and we were Minotaurs. And the monsters, I teamed up with a unicorn, and basically we were the tag team champions. because we would just beat the people into the ground with our giant weapons.
That's awesome.
This is amazing. Okay, so there's Kikijiki Island Spirit Walker, and there's a picture of you playing a drum or a djembe, I guess is what that is.
One of my my belt grandkids, because I name my kids my grandkids, basically decided to go against Saint Calevra when he was monarch and do evil things. So we brought the entire Imperial force down to basically wreck him. And my character's role was to summon the dead spirits with my drum.
Okay.
So I would sit in the chair, I'd play the drum, and I would summon dead. I would move the chair forward, play my drum, and I would basically, play one drum while I'm resurrecting them,
right.
with one hand and
man,
everything.
that's so cool.
And basically, I would bring the spirits of the dead marching home.
That's really cool.
This is something that I've said, but I've not actually done yet. Is that if you want more roleplay type things on your field in a normal battle game, you just have to bring that yourself, and other people will come. You can't force this kind of thing onto people. But when you had done Kikijiki, it's definitely a sidestep from the norm as far as playing a battle game. Did anyone else jump in and kind of a different way after seeing you do it?
I always do a lot of shenanigans, and when you do a lot of shenanigans, you end up with a cult following of people doing shenanigans. And one of the things I can kind of remember is I was a kingdom pillow.
I'm sorry.
People were hurting. No, I volunteered, which was like the worst decision. But the people were hurting their knees. They were like, "Oh man, my knees hurt." And then I went, "You know what? I'm going to do it." So I walked up. I said, "Stab me." Monarch stabs me. I lay down on the ground. People use me for a pillow.
Wow.
It was great for the first few minutes until people started to dive bomb.
Oh,
and then
no.
people started to give me the people's elbow. And so I started practicing wrestling moves at that point, and I'm like, I'm waiting for the RKO from out of nowhere here.
Well, and I want to make a tie-in here before we continue on with the lightning round.
I have a thing too. Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like some people in the studio audience and those listening from home right now might be asking, why are we talking about roleplay characters? What does this have to do with Flame Belt? I thought that this was supposed to be a Flame Belt month. And the answer to that question is it has everything to do with a Flame Belt. This is what we started the show off with before my co-host rudely interrupted me and reminded me that we hadn't introduced you yet. I actually had forgotten to introduce him.
I knew you had. You came back and you had me distracted a little bit, but I knew you'd done it.
But the point here is you are making the game better for those around you. And there are many, many different ways that you can do that. We're going to cover a lot of them this month. We wanted to start with you, Regan, because I think you are an excellent example of some ways to make Amtgard more fun for people that get overlooked all of the time.
Yes.
All of the time.
Flo and his aggressive compliments.
All of the time. It's you! It's you!
So our whole thing for Flame Knights is to light the way,
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time, a lot of newer people get passed over. They're going, "Oh, I don't know this new person, why would I walk up and talk to them? I don't even know what the first thing to talk to them," because we're all socially awkward people at the end of the day sometimes.
Yep.
And it's one of those things for me where I used to be that person. Once again, I was the shirtless, anorexic-looking kid out there going, "Hey, this is fun," and nobody would come up to me. And I said, "You know what? I don't want these new people to feel the same mistake or feel the same way or have the same mistakes that I had."
Yep.
And I made it a point to make it fun for those people.
Yep.
Because everyone knows who your volunteers are, who are always volunteering. "Hey, I know you." And not to discredit their service, because it's amazing what these people can do, and they do it nonstop. But we can't forget our newer people.
Oh, 100%.
Because that's what grows our game and our future.
Yep.
You gotta, for salesmen, you gotta suck them into with your sales pitch before you
Before they
can
get away,
sell them the product.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I mean, this is the thing. Like, first off, no matter what you're going for in our game, you're not bigger than this, and you are not better than whatever it is we're trying to do here. Like, quit acting like you're too cool for Amtgard. Sword Belt is just number one nerd. Let's be really honest. You know. But also, something you said, and something Jeff kind of said, or in starting his question there, reminded me, again, of some experiences I've had at Bonnaroo that I can talk about legally on a podcast. But you know, there's always that person who starts the dance, right? It always takes one person to start it, and that's you. But just as important as that person that starts the dance, you need the first follower too.
Yes.
Once people see one person following, they will jump into that line and do whatever the hell it is you're doing, no matter how stupid or ridiculous it looks. So, like, you're the person that starts it. There's always going to be somebody that becomes the first follower. If you can't be the person that starts it, it's okay to be that first follower. That is equally as important.
Yeah.
Yep. More friends, more fun.
Oh,
exactly. Yeah. Should we resume the lightning round?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because this next one is the one that I remember you playing the most.
I think it's a cock joke. Is it Richard Manley?
Oh, never mind. Wrong one.
Nope, wrong one.
No.
The next
Richard
one. Yeah.
Manley. Yes and no.
I love a good dick joke. It's fine.
I always have some sort of meaning in it, but Richard is, obviously full of himself. He believes he's the strongest man, even though, as you can tell, I'm definitely not the strongest guy.
Listen, you're role playing. You can be as strong as you want to be.
And that's what I like about some of these characters is I play roles that I'm not my normal personality, like my normal personality would be. So I'm playing full of myself, strong. I would, try to lift heavy things, even though it's way too heavy for me. And I'll go, oh, I warmed it up for you, when the next person does it.
Get a set of foam weights that say like 1,000 pounds on them. And
Listen, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
We can make a barbell and have all kinds of plates looking stuff on it.
Do some of the, hey, could you pass me that way over there?
Yep. Someone's behind you with a balloon pump.
But yeah, that's one of my lesser played characters because the egotistical route kind of off puts me sometimes where I'm like, yeah, I need a break.
That's fair, man.
Fair, yeah. All right, next we've got
I
came in with a straight face. Swiggity swooty.
This one's the one that I remember you playing the most.
Yep.
I remember that garb.
Mm-hmm.
So, Swiggity Swooty is a mountain goblin. Basically, mountain goblins in the region are stupid. They're basically food. Dragons come by and they go, all right, I need a midnight snack. Boom, done. Now, dwarves would mine the mountain for their ore. They would use brightly colored neon clothing. That way they could see each other in the smoke. Well, goblins would scavenge those clothes. And what ended up happening was after scavenging all of the mining gear, we would be able to hide from dragons because dragons are susceptible to like bright neon. Or so the goblins think, even though we keep getting eaten anyways. And Swiggity Swooty's goal is to collect treasure to appease the mountain dragon. So Swiggity Swooty is coming for that booty.
Yes.
You look like you were fired out of a cannon through a construction site with all of the neon you have on right now.
It's so good.
I'm gonna inline these pictures into the video so people see it. I'm also
I got the bright neon hat. I got the vest. I got the rain vest. I actually have a pair of rat pants that I actually took a vest apart. And sewed for the pants, so it has like the reflector.
That's what's in the picture on your Amped Week.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Florida before, Regan. Your construction workers don't wear this much neon.
They might have changed.
So the second funny part about that is Swiggity Swooty's an assassin, and in order to be the best assassin, you have to be the one who stands out the most because goblin logic,
right?
And you know what? For some weird reason, it works. They know that you're the brightest thing, so they ignore you.
Listen,
until it's too late.
I have made a career out of getting backstabs, out of faking being in stealth and stuff. So, like, all this stuff is so true, you'd have no idea.
I want to walk around like...
No, I do the whole night elf stealth, dude. I'm walking around.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
It's like one of those basketball players that doesn't know how to dribble, where they're just like...
Yes.
Wow, I've been attacked.
Oh, I've been attacked too.
Merrick was talking to me about a guy in I think Polaris who, when he's in sub, he'll do the John Cena thing where he's like,
You can't see me.
yeah.
What, a lot of wrestling on this, huh?
There is.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
But that's one of my favorite characters that I like to play because it's just great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great name, too. All right, Jonathan Knockersville.
Oh,
I just got it's Johnny Knoxville. Damn it.
So
That's
this
us.
actually debuted at the last keep before the pandemic happened, and I got so tired of fighting that I was like, I had it. So I dropped my weapons in the middle of this big old castle battle. So you have so many people, and I said, you know what? Forget it. So I dropped my weapons and I started yelling at everyone. I had no weapons, just yelling, peasant, just yelling. I'd be like, hey, you, I hate you. Your hair is terrible.
Yep.
You're a terrible human being. And they would take so much offense to that. They'd be like, what? And then they would come and attack you. Until the 8-foot, 9-foot pole from my partner stabs them right in the stomach.
This
we
is
used to
very
do
much
that.
me. I would
Then I
love
move
to
on
do
to
this.
the next one. But the most fun part about this one is they had water. Like they had a moat.
Oh.
And it was basically just blue tarp.
Sure.
But it was raining the day before. I decided, instead of yelling at people for a minute, I decided to go swimming. So I did a slip and slide, and I stopped about halfway and went, ow, my stomach hurts, and then just decided to do like the breaststroke.
Yes.
And people are like, we want to win. We got to beat the castle battle. And I'm like, I'm just a peasant. Do you know how rare it is for a peasant to be able to swim in a moat without gators?
Yeah, exactly. Well, especially in Florida. No, we used to get away with doing a lot of stuff like that too. Like as a warrior, I would like, I command you to give me $5. I command you to give me $5. I command you to give me $5. And they would go, what?
Oh,
and
man.
they'd stop and be like, I'm being, he has a spell. And I'm like, I command you to walk in circles. I command you to walk. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, we can't really do that anymore. It's in the rules.
It's fun to mess with people.
I know. I agree.
See, what I really love about those interactions is when you can't do it, you find a new one. So you start playing rock, paper, scissors with people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll walk in the middle of an Iron Man and I'll drop my weapons and go rock, paper, scissors. And it wouldn't even matter what kind of streak they're on. They would just impulsively just start doing rock, paper, scissors with me.
Yeah.
I would break their streak with rock, paper, scissors. And
Rule number one, right?
Yeah.
We had a really small day event down in Georgia to help a new park sort of get their numbers up. And it was me, Chuck, what's his name?
Jarek,
Heyo, and a couple of others. And we just decided it was a Beyblade tournament. So all of our shots had to be spin shots. So you'd go into the ring and whoever it is, you Beyblade, and then you do a big spin.
Oh, jeez. I can feel my ankles twisting off as I hear
Okay,
the
yeah.
Me too.
All right, we're just going to do a couple more of these because, I'm not kidding, there are so many. I'm going to link your Amped Wiki so people can go through it.
Most of them are not even on there, too, which is bad because I haven't had the time.
Okay, so there's two more I'm going to do. The next one is Longrod von Hugendongens. Damn it. Damn it.
It is a very mighty endowed dwarf. But it's not what you think. He is a mechanical engineer who works in the clouds. His long rod is his metal pipe, and his Hugendong is his wrench.
Yeah.
Okay.
What he does is he's basically the Mario and Luigi plumber of the clouds.
Nice.
And what ended up happening one day is he ended up going down the wrong pipe and ended up falling from the sky.
Oh no.
And that's how he ended up there.
So,
and I actually have a green tunic that has like the embroidery on the back with the name and everything.
Nice.
So
it just says long rod.
So long rod lays pipe.
God damn.
True.
Until he ended up in the wrong pipe.
Right.
Oh my god. Okay, last one, and then we'll leave it to the viewers to dig into this more.
Yeah.
There's Desmond the Detested, and I love the name of that one, and I didn't stumble into a dick joke, so bonus point.
Jeez. This was more of a serious character.
Okay.
I basically, this one goes into the sad end here.
No.
Basically, like we've all had mental health issues, and we've all had, some people have had, have been victims of abuse, and basically this character has kind of been attributed to that kind of thing, to where, you know, the character would, you know, was a victim of abuse by his father as a day laborer. You know, you barely got to eat, you barely got to drink, you had to work.
Sure.
And basically what it was is it was kind of a callback to, you know, my personal past. And basically what it was is it was a way for me to cope past my personal past. And that's one of those characters that I would write a story, but I would never play because I progressed past my past.
Note to self,
Yeah.
don't let Jeff pick the next one. You bastard.
Got him. No, I had no clue. But I think it's still a really cool thing to do. Like, I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to conclude the lightning round on that one because, I mean, goodness gracious, that's been the last.
Good job. Sour note at the end, huh?
I like that.
We're good for those.
Jesus. Let's move on, though. Getting back into the sort of service-oriented kind of thing, because that's what the month's all about, and that's what makes our game go round. What to you is the... I guess what to you is service? Because we just went through a lot of characters you've played, and in a lot of cases that might be Mask that we'd give an order for, or even dragons, because roleplay can fit into that. You know, we talked about Smiths earlier as well. What to you is like the peak service? And I mean, I know you've talked about like cleaning and stuff like that, but just in a nutshell.
When you can make a better environment for anybody is a win for me. And that to me, I feel like is what service is. From the top of the list down all the way to the bottom of the new person showing up on their first day. When you can make a difference in that person's experience, it makes a load of difference outside of the Amtgard experience also. And that's what service means to me specifically.
Damn, that's a killer answer.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No further questions.
And that's the end of the podcast. Thanks, no.
So this says that you are not part of the Neverwinter Illuminati. If you were, hypothetically, part of the Neverwinter Illuminati, how would one join? Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, if I was hypothetically a part of the hypothetical Illuminati, how would you hypothetically join?
Like, are there scouting missions? Is it like a combine or anything?
They would probably go to you. You might have to drink some alcoholic beverages from a old rusty shoe.
It's a don't call us, we'll call you kind of thing.
Yeah. I feel like that this has turned into green sleeves somehow. It's like, go find us an acre of land.
Cut the tallest tree in the forest with a herring.
Yeah.
Make sure it's red.
Now, hypothetically, we would find you, but I don't know about that so much.
You slipped.
No further questions.
I'm an officer of the law.
I'm the one asking questions here.
Right to remain silent.
Yeah.
So, actually, tell us about what you're doing right now for Neverwinter, because I understand you're the chief of police. Is that it?
So whenever new reigns pop up, I like to try and help, come in. And whenever people need the most outrageous kind of ideas, I'll help with it. And this is a mafia reign right now. And basically the king is a mob boss who paid off the previous monarch with something because it wasn't shown and took over. I don't like that. I'm an inquisitor, okay? You don't bribe these monarchs. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take the role of the chief of police and I'm going to capture you. I said, I'm going to get it done. So then I went, I need a crack team. I need sectors. I need officers. We're going to go big. So we decided to create different sections. So you have the chief of police. You have your secret division. Then you have your bird division, which is Division 7, because all birds are government drones.
Of course, yes.
Then you had your enforcement division, which is like your SWAT team, which we had that in a video. And basically using the resources available, which I'm actually going to have some armor that I have being made, and it's going to be my riot gear. And basically, we're going to start putting police tape around different buildings. And we're gonna put fake handcuffs, probably some fuzzy handcuffs maybe on the Mob King, and we're gonna arrest him. And I don't want to give out too much because the storyline. But basically, our goal is to try and arrest them, and we have basically divisions, and we're doing videos for fun based on those divisions. And then of course the mob boss is like, I'm gonna do a video based on your video. And that's kind of where it's at right now. Is we're basically just fighting back and forth with each other and all that.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean this goes right into that 2019 Flurb of the Year you got from I don't know where it came from, but you got 2019's Flurb of the Year. So
yeah, just before the pandemic too, and I was like, yeah. It was one of my goals in the game that I really liked besides Paragons was Flurb of the Year, and
I like the idea of Flurb of the Year, and I like that Flurb is no longer a kind of dirty word. When I first started out, it was like, oh, he's a Flurb, and you're like, oh, okay. Well,
anything's a dirty word if you make it that way, like stick jock, or Flurb. It's like transcend barriers. I'm just a guy who's out there having fun.
Right.
If you put a label to it, then cool. But but it's all what's in your mind and what you think.
So, how does one become the most ballsy peasant of Keep?
I think we went over it a little bit.
you gotta take the weapons out of your hands, and you gotta do the most stupidest things you can think of that are gonna hurt you.
I got you.
That's how you do it.
I see. Okay.
Oh God. Have you grabbed? You talked about like incorporating or reaching out to newer people, or people that you have kind of seen in the same place that you used to be in Amtgard. When you're doing some of your more zany stuff on field, do you ever kind of seek those people out, or at this point has your reputation become such that they're kind of seeking you out?
It's actually a mix of both. You wouldn't be surprised how many new people will come out of the woodwork to an event and be like, who are you? And then you're like, what? I've been in the game for 12 years. How do you not know who I am?
Yeah.
And I love those because those are flags for me, where I'm like, I must grab this person immediately, and I'll go to them and I'll be like, hey, this is a Greater Undead Minion strip. Put that on, and let's go. And I'll sit with them and I'll walk with them. Do any kind of shenanigans. If there's an objective, I'll make sure that I go with them to the objective. Give them a chance to at least put a hand on it.
Right.
And then there's the other end where people will be like, yeah, my friends told me about you. And I'll be like, do you want to rephrase that? Is it good? Is it bad? Are you going to kill me here? And they'd be like, nah, I want to have a good time, blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, let's go. Let's do it. I'm going to give you a strip, or I'm going to give you a hat, and let's go.
Yeah. Put this on. We're doing shenanigans. Let's go.
And most of them involve hats, because I have like 30 hats.
Yes.
Yeah, that's mentioned in the wiki as well.
I put them on my Greater Undead Minions and Undead Minions so I can find where they are.
Oh, that's so clever. I'm not going to lie. That's really awesome.
Are any of them the little helicopter like hat?
No, I've moved on to the other type of hats. I have a chicken hat that when you press the button, the legs move. I have another chicken hat where it's just like the beak and the feathers. I have a chef hat. I have a pizza hat. And
I like how you said you've moved on from the helicopter
hat. Oh, cabbage. That was so...
That's a plebeian hat.
Fuck me, I guess.
We've moved on to Prada brand here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a giant tote that I have all this stuff in, and I'm like, here's a hat. And they'll be like, I don't want this hat. Do you have any hat like this? And I'll be like, look. Wow, look at that. And I'll hand them a hat.
I like the idea that when I'm packing for an event, I have to make special room for my hat box.
Yes.
It's got to fit in the car somewhere.
Get me to the haberdashery.
I see it in your future.
It's coming.
Aldi, the grocery store, actually had these totes, and that were huge, and I bought it. And that's what I always store half my other shenanigans stuff in. I just toss spell balls, sashes.
All right.
Hats,
I'm going to have to say, a shenanigans box, that's going into the...
Yeah, that's got to go in
That's a thing now, guys.
But it's usually half and half. I'll have the new people come up to me, or I'll go to the new people because they're not that hard to spot because they'll always have that look on their face like, what do I do now? Help me.
Yeah, anybody standing off to the side just kind of twiddling around with a sword, you can usually go like, okay, that guy.
And you can do that at park too. It's not just events, because those are the ones that you'll definitely notice the most, and those are the ones you definitely want to build up at your park.
Mm-hmm.
And we had our park, North River, my first day at that park, it was like they didn't have a quest prepared, and I was like, half these people are new, right? And I just gave them monster rolls. I gave them a hat, and I said, "You're zombies at the Happy Happy Hat Club, and the questers are invading the Happy Happy Hat Club because they want to kill you."
And take your hats, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And yeah, you can do that at park level too. It's not just kingdom level, and there's always opportunities for that.
Speaking of park level stuff, what are some things, like, that's a really good example. And this is me hopping on my segue. What are some things people could do at some service level related things that people could do at park level that would be really helpful? I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So your very first things that you have is obviously trash, because Amtgarders are messy. Water bottles, especially in Florida, you will find a minimum of 15 water bottles sitting on the ground, half empty, half 3/4 full, or empty.
What is it with Amtgarders and not finishing a fucking drink? What the heck? I am so beyond confused at that.
Well, when you figure that out, then we'll definitely give you a medal for that one.
Yeah, right.
Here's your flame belt, buddy.
Yeah. Even the little, we brought out the little, I don't know what they're, just the miniature water
The
bottles.
kids' water bottles, and they
half
still
full.
only drank 3/4 of it. Yeah, it was amazing.
So as far as basic park stuff is concerned, for Rose, picking up trash, helping organize some park days and stuff. And you can also go into Smiths as well. You can teach a class at your local level. Most of the time you might have your experts, but there are parks and people who are not experts, and you're going, hey, we all don't know what insubstantial does. Can you teach a class on insubstantial since you play assassin? Sure. Teach the class. Cool. You did great. Everyone learned. Smith. Boom.
Yeah.
So you have all sorts of growth opportunities on that end as well.
It's cool
And a lot
because
of a lot of people miss Smith because they're like, what's a Smith? I want a Rose. Everyone's like, Rose, Rose, Rose. You can't forget about Smith, and of course you can't forget about Lions either.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cool too because in the example that you used, you are teaching everyone at your park something that they're going to interact with if you're playing the main body of Amtgard, which is battle gaming. That's something that you teach everyone. I remember when I was really young and I learned what ice ball was, right? And how it worked. And it stuck in my head. All of those different things stuck in my head. It only takes one person to take you aside and go, yeah, this is how it works, man. Back then you could get out of ice ball with fireballs. So they actually ice balled someone and then had me charge fireballs and hit them over the head with it. I don't think that was illegal, but it was fun.
Yeah. This actually rolls back to back the first 4 years of my game. Everyone was all into fighting, but no one was into magic. And I got to the point to where I love to do things that no one else is doing. Because, I did it before everyone else thought it was cool. Hipster mentality there. But basically, nobody did magic classes. Everyone was a fighter class. And I was like, I hate fighter classes. This sucks. So I learned. And I said, you know what? I'm going to play the class. And then what ended up happening is people were like, what the hell does that do? What's a fireball? That sounds awesome. And then I moved on to that for teaching it. And it was back then, that kind of got ingrained into my head to where these people don't know what it is. And it's more beneficial for my gameplay experience to not explain it to everyone in the middle of a battle game when I can teach everyone the experience right here with my free time. Because, winning is not everything, with it. And what I would do is I would teach a class. I would go, okay, this week is on Wizard. Wizards get these cool balls. And you throw it at them and they do this, or I can say verbals, and I just progressed from there. And then other people started playing magic classes and they learned. And that's kind of what was been ingrained in my head since the first 4 years of my game. So I kind of kept that with me.
Nice. I'd actually done a battle game back whenever I was trying to get battle games being a thing at Radiant Valley again, where it was spellball, dodgeball, but I had all my spell balls, well, not all of them. I curated which balls were in the middle of it. But I put them, roughly in the middle of the circle, and then everyone went for them. I taught them the incant for Force Bolt, which is easy, and then I think Lightning Bolt and Ice Ball or something like that. And then it was a dive, try and find the ball that you needed, or at least one that you could use for the situation. So, not only can you teach by just a simple class like you were talking about, but you can go outside the box a little bit and have a full game that teaches the game.
Oh, yeah, 110%. Kind of like you said earlier about Monster of the Week. You can have a Monster of the Week. Questers, this is your Monster of the Week. This is what the monster's habits are. Even small things like this is what the monster eats.
I'm Frosty the Snowman.
I want to do a local park champion reign where it's a Scooby-Doo themed reign.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing. I'm not going to lie.
And people can learn about the monsters. They'll go, this is the monster of the week. This is what the abilities are. This is what they do.
I actually really like that.
Let's say if you don't have fire and you're fighting a troll, you might have a hard time.
Yeah.
And you kind of prepare them for it through the week. You can put like a Scooby-Doo spin on it. It's hilarious.
Captain Lammers.
But yeah, there's all sorts of battle games and stuff you can teach with that. I taught a class on throwing weapons, kind of in a similar dodgeball thing, because a lot of people don't remember that bounces count. So basically, it would be a dodgeball game, but with throwies instead. So people would try and practice bouncing them or throwing them and everything else. And
you guys remember Quiver? He would bounce arrows off the ground underneath shields up into people.
He made Patches so mad, and I loved it every time. Every time I was like, it's battle game time, and look over at Patches, and he wouldn't notice it, and I'd look over at Quiver. I'm like, yeah, give him the bounce shot, buddy.
Well, this is...
go
ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, there's all sorts of games that you can do. I did a whole thing called Goblin City, and what you did was you had everyone, like you had Questers versus Goblins, but it was all games of skill and features. But the goblins would cheat. So the goblins would have like armor in the dodgeball game while everyone else is fragile. And what you did was it had segments. So one of them was all magic. So you had players who had no clue what magic did casting at level 1 to learn what the thing is and what ranges are. So like level 1 was your throwies, level 2 was your verbals, level 3 was your arrows, and your level 4 might be like monster lore as far as goblins. And it's all imagination at that point. You just plop it in different sections, and it could be any kind of role play. You could switch goblins with brownies or dryads or anything, and it's just about imagination. It's a learning experience combined with imagination. So because when people are learning,
go ahead.
When they're having fun, they don't realize they're learning half the time.
Oh yeah,
agreed.
So tangentially related, I know at one point you had, I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a 1v1 for Magic casters kind of tournament thing. Is that still going on any way, shape, or form? Or
we had one for archery that somebody Hogman did and gave us the rule set for, and we loved it. And I wanted to try and do one for Magic. I will tell you, it was not that great. To be honest,
can be hard to do.
It was kind of rough. There's a lot of edges to kind of soften out, but it was worth a shot, to try. And we had 5 participants, and people tried it and had fun.
Yeah, I mean, you just said that it wasn't very good, but everyone had fun. So I would say it's pretty good in that aspect.
Oh yeah, and it's all science for me. For battle games, for me, it's a science. Mm-hmm. It's mathematics for me. And you plug A goes into A, B goes into B, unless C doesn't fit with A, and that my mind just jumbles at that point.
Yeah.
And you can do separate things for the A category. So for like the A category, you have like 5 separate things you can put in for A. And you can do that for tournaments, you can do that for quests, and that's how my mindset works. So I figured the same thing with archery, but with Magic. And then I went, okay, but for that to work, you have to have barriers. Otherwise, everyone's running to McDonald's, 80 feet down the road.
I know nothing of that.
Hey, McRib is back.
Okay, how do we do per refresh? So we do per refresh as per tournament, to kind of offset people just finger of deathing everyone in 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, so it's all testing, at that point.
Yeah, like I said, I knew you'd ran it. I wasn't sure if you did a lot of tests because I think it came up not quite right at COVID, but a little before, like the year before it or something like that.
Yeah, the fun part about that is my brain doesn't stop. I'll always write down stuff or adjust stuff, and even if I don't adjust like the master document, I'll separate the documents, to see what works. A didn't work, so let's try B. B didn't work, so let's try C.
Yes.
And then if C works, okay, C moves up a tier, and then that's usually how I do it for me. So I never stop.
Mm-hmm.
Because there'll always be some kind of extra thing that I could add or do, and then we play test.
Yeah, no, you hit something real hard with that, is that every game or every aspect of a game that you make is not going to succeed. And it is something important to realize because it is a realistic thing, right? Just because it doesn't succeed this time, don't necessarily drop it completely. Bring it back to the drawing board. Try and look at another way. Sometimes it doesn't work at all. But sometimes you just didn't look at it at the right aspect. And seeing it played is going to give you a better perspective on it.
Yeah, I definitely start at the local level as far as battle game testing is concerned before I move to the kingdom level, unless I know it works.
Yeah.
And that's, guinea pigs, part guinea pigs are great.
Absolutely. And I mean, with the local level type thing, you can do, okay, well, I've never ran this mechanic. So I'm going to run this simple game that I know works. It's just capture the flag, and then you put that mechanic in it as an extra thing, and then you see how it interacts with stuff.
Yeah,
and that's it.
That's basically it.
Yeah, it's so good. And like people sometimes it's like, oh man, because I did it with my walls. Like that was the one thing that I did. I was like, that was a little different. And all I did is I had two, 6 foot by 8 foot walls basically, and I stuck them in the middle, slightly offset from each other, so they took a space of like 11 feet or something like that spread out. And all the combat just gravitated towards them. They were literally no use to the game, but everything gravitated to it. So like,
oh geez, how much did you spend?
The first ones, I think, because we did it quickly instead of paying attention to the cost. And I think they were $50 a wall, so $100.
I need the budget better. Oh geez.
No, yeah. But I've gotten better. But the more walls you make, your per wall cost goes down quite a bit because of PVC and things like that. The big thing for me were those stakes, those $7 a piece stakes, because I did 3 stakes in the wall. And I think you only need 2, at least when it's not, even when it's kind of windy up in Tennessee. If you're in a windier place, you'll need 3. So it depends. That's again like a testing thing.
Yeah, I have about like 9 or 10, so it's kind of.
Yeah, we don't really need to talk about how many of them that I have or anything like that.
I remember when we were going to Lowe's trying to look for all of that stuff too. You touched on something earlier that I wanted to circle back around to. This is funny. Your cat's absolutely losing.
Yeah, I
love it.
That's definitely Sophie.
You can't see this because it's off camera right now, but Lucas Cabbage got me on this a long time ago, that keep a notebook near you at all times. And I like having an actual physical notebook. Like I use old composite notebooks to write in, but some people don't like doing that. Some people would rather just have a Google Doc right on your phone so that you can do it. And if you're sitting, there you go. There you go. And
my field notes,
And if you're sitting, if you're eating lunch, if you're, you take a break from work while you're driving or whenever, right? And you think of something, go, I'm going to add that to my book. If you can write it down, then write it down. That's how some of the best ideas come about. Is not when you're sitting down saying, I need to come up with an idea, but when you're listening to a song in the car or something, you go, what would be really fun? This thing.
Try to make decent notes, though, or else you'll go back through your notebook and not remember what the hell. You're like, what if dogs could use guns? Well, that's a page we just got to lose.
Yeah, you guys don't want to read my notes because I'll put stuff like that, but I'm so used to D&D with like notes where I'll put like rats ?
Yep.
But somehow I'll still remember, we have to go deal with the rats. And I don't understand how my mind works, but it'll remember that.
A couple of weeks back, Cabbage came over here and we were getting the studio set up, and he said, "What's this? Is this for the show today?" I said, "Oh no, that's just my notes." And he opens it up and thumbs through like 12 pages. He's
It's like the
these
scrawlings of a madman.
Yeah, he's like, this is just the rants of a madman, and puts them down. I said, yours are going to look the same though, right?
Yeah. they
Only
do.
you have to read your notes is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mine look like a weird math equation half the time.
Uh-huh.
Or if it's arts and science, it's the most worst drawing ever.
I can't draw either, so I usually buy notes with gridded sections, and all of my stuff is like Minecrafty looking stair step.
It's kind of like the opposite, to where you have like an IKEA furniture box and you see the picture, and then when you build it, it doesn't look like the picture. I have the opposite, where the picture is like terrible, but the item turns out perfect, and you're like, I don't know how
That's
happened.
awesome.
Oh no, that sounds so awful for you. No, also as a point to something you'd said before, this isn't exactly like anything to do with service, but if you have a park that just loves to ditch and you can't break it up, if you just put a bunch of throwies right in the middle of that ditch, you'll have that thing fall apart in about 2 rounds.
No, this is absolutely to do with service, because like those people, if you have a park that ditches only, you are missing a large portion of your audience for recruitment, and then doing those funny things potentially gives you more people.
Because we've got an assassin at our park who has just a ton of throwies, and you know, she'll bring them out, and I'm like, hey, can I take this whole bag and just dump them? She's like, yeah, sure, go for it. I'm like, okay, dump it out on the field. And then in like no time at all, that becomes dodgeball and not
just as immediately if I see the bag of throws go out, I lose all my weapons.
People
are
throwing their
everybody.
swords and getting rid of everything. They're like, I gotta throw that. Yeah, you know.
I don't know if you guys know one of my belt kids, Thunderbush.
Yes.
Who has the sports bag.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm sorry.
I fully support you. I don't know if you listen to us, but I fully support this method.
Yeah, right.
But there's also, there's opportunities for service for stuff like that, whether you just bring something new to the table, but you can expand even further beyond that. You can create a battle game based off of just randomly throwing the throwies out too. Mm-hmm. And that goes, towards Smith stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And there's all sorts of opportunities if you put your mind to it.
Yeah, and I mean it's doing objective-based things too are another easy way to pull people that are more stick-leaning into a battle game. And I've learned over time that I don't even know if it matters what the objective is. I mean, Teflon brought out 2 plastic buckets and I think a rugby ball, and just said, okay, the object is to dunk it in the basket, but you have to be as stylish as you can when you're done. There's no just setting it down in the basket or anything like that. And the game became outdoing other people that had already scored.
It was very
ahead of
Space
you.
Jam, yeah.
It really was.
See, this is the dumb thing, right? Like when I came out and I said, you have to dunk it, I didn't make any kind of flashy no, I probably did a flashy maneuver to show that you dunk it, and that's where it came off from. But whenever I said dunk it, I was playing Destiny 2 at the time, so that's what I went to, and now they've went into to NBA Jam. So it's amazing how these games and stuff, they don't go exactly as planned, but don't get mad at that. Like, make sure if people are having fun, just go with it. Like, absolutely.
Yeah, they could go ahead and just ignore the monster that's sitting in the corner that gives them an extra thing and just go slam dunking.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man, I want to do a slam dunk battle now.
I mean, we can do it.
Yeah,
that's
okay,
no problem. So I'm going to get on a hoverboard here, and because I'm more trendy and I'm younger, and
Jeff's over here on a ripstick, like.
Listen, I have one and I love them. All right.
What's a ripstick?
Oh my God, he's old.
It's like a skateboard, but it's caster wheels.
Oh,
and it's the 2 wheels.
Yeah. Okay, no, I know what it is.
Yeah, and everyone riding one looks like the biggest goob doing this thing.
Yeah, it's really fun. If you've never ridden a ripstick, you 100% should.
I hurt myself on a ripstick.
I'll go dig it out. We're gonna watch it.
I was gonna say I was around the Razor scooters era. There.
Yeah, no, I mean I was
Your
too.
ankles never recovered.
But I have younger brothers, so I get on. I had a ripstick at one point too. Anyway, so ripsticking away, we got. So we've talked a lot about Smith type stuff, and you had mentioned that you actually loved cooking and things too. So kind of give me an idea of like what was your, I guess, mid-level kind of thing in the kitchen? Like what were you doing, or how did you get into it?
Okay, For me, for service, I was a jack of all trades. I wanted to do one of everything because I was curious about, okay, what do these people do? What's behind the scenes? Maybe I could do it better. Around the mid-time was around my kitchen days. I struggled. I'm not going to lie. Kitchen was always a struggle for me. I'm a microwave hero, and no one wants to eat a microwave meal in Neverwinter. I'm sorry. Please don't microwave your meal.
I have had some microwave meals that I was glad that I had that instead of what was being served.
Are
for
we about
feast.
to besmirch the good name of the Hot Pocket?
Yes, because they're not currently sponsoring
don't
us.
know you.
Yeah, you could use the middle of the Hot Pocket as an ice ball at the end of the day.
Hot Pocket, get at me for a sponsorship deal. I don't know what these people are on about.
But as far as the kitchen was concerned, the first thing for me, obviously, that people would go through is your budgeting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you'd find out what your budget is, and then you would figure out a plan based on that budget. And for me, budgets are great. That's the easiest part. I can go, all right, I need a quarter pound of this. I need a half pound of this. I need 1 container of this. Easy math, cool. And then I'm like, oh, these people are not going to like this. Like, I'm going to love it, but these people are not going to like it. And I know they're not going to like it. So I'm like, okay, avoid chicken because I have a hard time with chicken. You know, a lot of people apparently have a hard time with chicken, but that's another thing.
Oh, yeah.
And basically what it was is I had to figure out, you know, a meal plan. So I went, okay, if I can't figure it out, I'm going to do the next smart thing. I would do a poll. I would put a bunch of items and let people put in items, and people would vote.
That's actually
And
really cool.
I was like, all right, they want this because they specifically voted on this. Of course, you'd have a vegan option and vegetarian option on the side because, you know, that would be the smart thing.
Yep. And
Basically, I would be like, all right, they did the work for me. This is perfect. Go online, research what a recipe is for it. There's a calculator online, and I don't remember where it is, that you input the base ingredients, and then you put serving size, and you just basically click up, until it's like 50, 100 people or whatever your
And then
your
my
event is.
fitness pal calls you and goes, "Are you good? How are you doing, bud?"
And basically it would do the math for me. And then it was just, shopping trip at that point. It was like, all right, these are the items I need. I have to pick this up the day before. I can pick this up anytime. I have to wait to get to the event site to pick this up, that kind of stuff. In Florida, when you're transporting food, it cooks for you as you're driving through. And it's the worst thing to do when your food's like cooked, especially if you're doing arts and science entries, but that's a side thing in Florida. And so you have to have enough ice. You have to keep things cool packed. And it's a lot easier to pick it up from the local store from the campsite. So basically at that point, after you get your budgeting, after you get your amount of items you need on your checklist, you get your volunteers, you get your help. I have a lot of belt kids in my belt line. I have a lot of them. I'm not going to lie. And I go, okay, kids, I need this, help me. And they'll be like, yeah, sure. Or they'll be like, no, piss off, Dad, go away. But I would find help. And I would try to grab the people that normally don't help for the lighter meals, like travelers or, breakfast, lunch.
Yeah.
And I would find the newer people and go, hey, guys, this is what I need you to do. And what I like to do is I like to make a comprehensive list of instructions for those people, kind of like an actual restaurant. You have your chef, you have your sous chef, you have your prepper, you have, that. And I separate them into jobs. And I go, all right, if you have any questions, let me know. And then I work on the base thing, the big thing, the main course. And then I would oversee the rest of them, hey, how you doing? You're good here. All right, complete. And then everything melds together into your meal.
Do you make them say yes, chef?
No.
Opportunities missed, Regan.
You kind of glossed over something that I really want to point out too, is that you don't, or at least you made it sound like that you don't participate in every single, like if you're Feastocrat, right, for the event, you don't participate in every single meal in so much as you're cooking every single meal. You have people who have volunteered for it, and you are in a management position for, let's say, 2 of the 3, right? And then you are then cooking on the 3rd one. And I think that's really a good way to not burn yourself out in that kind of position.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very important, I think, too.
Delegating your roles is 100% a good management tool. You know, your head boss, you can't do everything alone, so you find the next person, you know, and then you separate them out, and you don't want to overkill yourself doing everything. And a lot of workplaces will do that, where the store manager will be like, oh, I got to do this, you know, and it's like, relax, boss. I've been twiddling my thumbs for like 5 minutes here.
Right.
But the difference is you have volunteers
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, have whatever time on their hands if they want to help. And other times you have to hire people, and it's a waiting process, which is why I like volunteering, because you can find just about anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, never burn yourself out. Don't take too much on your plate. I honestly have made that mistake several times.
Yeah.
I really don't think that there's a Flame Knight out there who hasn't at some point.
I'll
And
go a
it's a
step
sad
further
thing.
and say I don't think there's a knight out there who hasn't at some
Yeah,
point.
fair.
Agreed. You have to learn where your limits are, and part of the way that you do that is by failing spectacularly, usually.
Oh yeah. It's kind of like the talk your BS, but talk your BS, but really make it sound good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kind of thing with it.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, it's everything's going great. We did this, and then they'll ask, what about this? And you'll be like, we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that.
I just said we did these other 3 things. What do you?
Well, and don't be afraid to ask for help either. If you come to a situation where you've done all of your planning, it was all carefully executed, everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing, and you find out that it's just not enough, go ask for more help. You can almost always find someone that's willing to donate just a little bit of their time to help you out, especially in a scenario like you've described where it's like, hey man, so we ended up needing someone to chop up some veggies. You ever chopped onions before? Great. Well, you're going to learn.
Yeah. Hey, do you like food? Cool. Get in here.
It's kind of on the opposite end as well. Don't be afraid to go and ask if you can help either.
Yes.
Whether you're a new person or otherwise. And the worst thing they can tell you is no. I mean, unless your mindset's on the other end where you don't want to work, the worst thing they can tell you is, yeah, sure, go on in.
I may or may not have been in that boat a couple times.
I used to do this thing as a kid with my mom where I knew I'd get brownie points if I offered to help. So I'd be like, hey, Mom, do you need any help with anything? And she'd go, no, I think I'm good. And I'm like, yes, free brownie points. Yes. I didn't have to do anything, and she thinks I'm awesome.
I love being on the opposite when they ask that, expecting just to get brownie points. And I go, I need something. And then you just go, okay, I got to think of something.
Yeah, now as an adult with a 7-year-old, I'm like, oh, no. You're not getting away with that one, kid. Clean your room.
I legit think that's how, like, in the early days of Winter's Edge, I don't know that there was a dish that wasn't washed by me at some point. And I think that's how that happened. I think I walked by and I saw someone like struggling. It's like, hey man, you need some help? And you're like, yeah, you can wash dishes. I'm like, damn it. Why did I ask that question?
What I really love to do, and that most people don't do, because it's usually a common courtesy to ask, is I'll slide and sneak in.
Uh-huh.
And I'll look in the kitchen, notice that dishes are not being done because there's nobody there, but no one's asked anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll notice, and I'll just kind of sneak in, start doing dishes, see how long it takes for people to notice.
I did that too. Like, I think the very first one was, like I said, like I got accidentally voluntold for it. And then after that, I was like, you know what? Someone needs to be doing dishes every time. So after I ate, I basically walked back to the kitchen. Also helped me avoid court, which was nice at the time, and washed dishes instead. So
Weren't you Monarch?
Anyway.
I don't think so. No, it was not during the time when I was Prince. Thank you.
This is the same principle as like the orange vest and clipboards. Like if you do anything with confidence, people will just assume you're supposed to be doing it. So you go start doing the dishes, and it's like, I guess that guy does their dishes. I don't know.
One of the side things I really like to harp on that a lot of people forget is you can jump in and volunteer, but you also got to teach these people how to do it also.
Yes.
Because you can't just leave the generation behind because what happens if you move on, or God forbid something bad happens to you.
Yep.
You got to teach the next generation of Amtgarders how to do things as well, and go from there, because otherwise you just have a bunch of people with confused looks scrambling and can't figure it out.
Yes.
Well, and let me approach that from the other side too. Having done quite a bit of volunteering at different events and things like that, and I'm talking to you, all of the people that are around my age that have been volunteering for a long time. You have to be willing to let go. You've got to let the people that come. I see a whole lot of very well-intentioned people go, well, these things will get messed up.
Yeah, if I'm not there, it won't get done.
And you know what? Maybe you're right, but that's okay. We made those mistakes. The newer people are going to make those same mistakes. They can be the impact can be softened if you're there to help them, even tell them the ways that you messed up on it. And most people are receptive. They don't want to mess up. They want to do a good job. But and I hate to say this of my generation, but we have been very reluctant to let go and let some of the younger people step up and do stuff.
Yep, I definitely have had that habit, and sometimes I can't break myself from that habit, especially if it's something that I'm very passionate about. And it's a rough thing to do, but you got to kick the bird out of the nest and let him fly,
And you don't have to step back fully or nothing like that either, because you can be, the hype man or the number 2 or whatever, and allow them to be the number 1 contact for things, and allow them to learn, and you be directly hands-on and help them out as well.
I mean, there's a lot of great wrestlers out there that needed a pallbearer to hype them up.
Yeah.
I had to bring it back around to wrestling.
My Undertaker. But I've gotten a lot better with it, and I just hope that other people can take it home with them too, and go, what, maybe, even if I have to help this person right next to them, they got to do it sometime. Otherwise, you're just going to end up an empty husk as you're doing dishes at 90 years old.
Well, and the same people who are holding on maybe a little too tightly are also the same people that honestly get mentally exhausted and very frustrated that more people aren't stepping up to do things. It's this weird cognitive bias that's going on where, on one hand, you want to make sure the event goes well so that people have fun and they want to come back to your events. And I totally get that. And the way that you see that happening is making sure that these simple mistakes don't happen. But you cannot hold that view and also hold the view that it sucks that more people aren't volunteering to do these things at the same time. I have held that view before. This is one of those introspection things where you need to this is one of those introspection things where you need to be able to step back and say, am I doing this? Okay, in what way can I do what Teflon just said then? And maybe I'm the person that's just chopping vegetables. Yeah. And if somebody says something that's way off, then I can go, hey, guys.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly my point.
And especially for me, especially if I'm super passionate about it, it's always the hardest thing to do because it's my baby. It's my baby. Yeah. I don't want my baby harmed.
Right.
It's like, come on, you can hand your baby off to somebody else, once in a while.
What's the worst that can happen? They can drop them or something.
No, if they're young enough, those kids are fucking rubber, man. You could drop them, they're fine. Oh, my goodness. My bad parenting skills aside, we are. Hey, he's made it to 7, so they're not that bad. We're roughly at that point where we start, gearing you up for that favorite story bit. We're nearing the end of our bit here, but there's one I wanted to ask about that's still a holdover on your Amtwiki. I want to hear about this first, and just sort of in the background of your mind, think about your funniest or craziest Amtgard story. But first, I want to know what this is, where you conducted a live rendition of All Star by Smash Mouth with over 20 questers.
Hi. So you guys know Geralder, right?
Yep.
Yeah, once or twice met him.
Your very last Crystalline Chronicles event, I showed up, and I was going through a very bad time. I got kicked out of my place. My ex-wife was trying to divorce me, and I was like, I have to go. I have to do something. So we ended up grouping with this group of orcs. You know, the orc party. You had like 3 factions. So I was like, no, we're going with the orcs. They're lively. So I was like, okay, we need these boxes from them. So I said, you know what? We'll go. So we took our whole group, you know, clanking through, you know, half of them with armor, the other half going, "Rah." And they said, do a performance for us and we'll give you some boxes. So we took a conductor wand, which I took my crossbow bolt, and I waved it, and Geralder started singing Smash Mouth. Everyone else joined in, and we did it perfect.
Ah, that's fantastic.
You need one person to start it, but
Exactly.
equally important is
Is
that
the-
second person that joins
that
in.
first
Absolutely.
follower. Yeah. All right. So did you buy yourself enough time to tell us your craziest Amtgard story?
Okay. I have a couple. One of them bad, one of them good. I'll start with the bad one.
Okay.
I was autocrat, and we were at our event site, and our kitchen caught fire. I don't know who put on their mixtape in the kitchen or what was going on. But it
Man,
was
this
on
kitchen
fire.
is fire. No, I mean, really, it's on fire.
And I froze. I freaked out so bad. I'm like, of course, the one time I'm autocratting, the kitchen catches on fire. Thank you. You know, and I was like, okay, we had to get this done. We had the salvage feast, and we had Roarin Calmwaters, who I'll give a big shout out. He was the biggest savior of that feast meal, and I made a mistake. You know, I didn't really help him too much, and you know, I still feel bad to this day. You know, but that man's a trooper. He made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I will never forget that with him. Underneath that grill, 4 inches of flat grease underneath the flat grill.
Goodness.
Wow.
Eventually, we got, you know, the fire was put out and everything, but 4 inches of that grease.
That's at least 2 candles. Very tall candles.
What the fuck?
And I'll never forget it because, you know, he essentially saved the day. He saved his rear end, my rear end, and it got done.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that as a teaching moment. I'm like, you know what? I need to put my anxiety aside, and I need to do better.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of taken that, you know, that path to kind of do it. And that's kind of my bad story. But once again, shout out to him. He saved my life on that.
Had a happy ending, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. On the other one, and you're going to love this one, was the night quest with Marauder's Mop.
Yes. Yes.
I planned out this whole entire night quest for Harry Potter, and I got a bunch of the most ragtag group of people in there. You know, in there. Sir Kelbo, bless his soul, bought a ghillie suit to play an Entangle monster for that. And I didn't know what to expect. You know, we went through the first group, and I was like, okay, there's a second group. And they said their name, and then they said their motto, and I was dead. Like, a laughter. I couldn't speak. They were like, Marauder's Mop, we clean. Let's clean. And I was like, what are they doing? I'm like, okay, they're probably just going to stick Jock through this, whatever, cool. They put the shield on the ground, and they put their weapon on the shield, and they push it like it's a mop through the dungeon quest. And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, what are they doing? I love this. So then I had to pull out my phone. I literally broke character, pulled out the phone, and was like, I got to record this whole thing. So they went through like the first room. There was a monster in a cage. They cleaned the cage, didn't kill the monster, and went to the next room. And I was like, what? And I'm not even joking. They literally like lift the shield with the weapon on it to pretend to mop the sides. And then they're like, we clean. It's clean. And then they would move to the next one. We modified the second room to be a washing machine because of them. Where they had to spin in the washing machine. And I'll never forget it because I laughed from beginning to end as they went through the whole thing. And it's just an experience I will never forget with them. It made me feel great because it's something I created brought so much joy and apparently brings joy to other people years later.
Yeah, is this
And
video
it's-
on YouTube or anything like that? Can we link to it?
It's on Facebook. It pops up once in a while, and I'll share it every time it pops up.
I watch it literally every time. I love it so much. Because you said you broke character, but yeah, when you went and videoed it, you kind of came to a quote-unquote new character as like a reporter or like a Animal Planet host kind of thing, and it's really, really good.
That's that improv. It's just instant switch. You're like split personality, at that point.
Yeah,
You're
right.
like,
Yeah.
Okay, got to be reporter. Go. And it was one of the most fun moments for me, was just that interaction. And of course, the same day, the little girl bringing doom upon all of us by going, "Yeah, I'll help you."
I'll try to find that and get it into the show notes. I'll do a little detective work because that's a really cool thing. I want people to see that.
Yeah.
Are you part of the Neverwinter officers?
What are you talking about? We don't. There's no Neverwinter Illuminati. We don't know what you're talking about.
If you look up the old symposium event, it might be posted to the event page, because
Yeah,
I
it
know you
might
can
be.
look at past events and stuff. So
Okay.
good luck, detective.
Yeah.
The chief of police.
Yeah. So, real quick before we go, is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want people to see? Anything like that we can put in the show notes for you?
All my kids and grandkids are delinquents. I love them, but please do something with your life.
You could start by smashing that like button and subscribing to WAK.
God. All right, that's the perfect spot. I'm going to hit the intro and roll us out. Thank you so much, Sir Regan. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on YouTube or Spotify to get notified about new episodes. And make sure to follow us on Facebook for announcements and more.